Alrighty, so this is video part 2, and I have my little ruler here, and I've got bits of wire laid out, and I kind of lied. In video number 1, you're going to need a file too. I forgot about that. So just any kind of little file will work. Okay, so in here I've got the metal piano wire, or musical wire is what it's called, or if you say musical wire, they'll know what you're talking about. And we're going to cut those, since they're a foot long, we're going to cut them into 3-inch lengths, and we'll get 4 from every wire. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to hand the camera off to my assistant, and I'm going to get a Sharpie. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I like to do a bunch of these at a time, just to get it a bunch going at once, because it's easier to mass produce these than to do one-offs one at a time. You know what? These wire cutters suck. Alright, better wire cutters. And okay, so I said this was a 1/16 inch, and I think I lied on that too, because I think this wire is a little too thick for, it goes great on the things, but it does not go well on the little pommel cap, so it needs to be a little thinner wire. So best thing you need to do is probably pick out your little pommel pieces and your little cup pieces first, and then take those into your little jewelry findings. Take those into Hobbytown and make sure that all this fits in. But fortunately, I've got one left over from the last batch that does fit. So the first thing I'm going to do is, after I cut it, I'm going to take my file and I'm going to flatten one end, get it nice and flat.
It ain't focusing.
Yeah, it ain't gonna focus. And then the other side, I'm gonna roll it in my fingers like this while I'm filing. And I'm pulling against the blades. See, files go one way. They only cut in one direction. So I'm not going back and forth like this. I'm cutting it, and I'm rolling it when I go. So I'm taking off all the sharp edges, and I'm giving it a little bit of a point, so it'll go through clothes but not skin. So I'm not trying to really sharpen it. Just give it a little bit of get the dull edges or rough edges off. Make it nice and rounded. A little bit of a point. Okay, so that's all you need the file for. Next step is to take your pommel on. And this is where the crimper comes in handy, but like I said, a pair of regular pliers would work. And I put it in the little crimping spot, and doop, squeeze it on there real good, and that is not coming off. Okay? So the second part is with your just regular jewelry wire, and I cut these off into 4-inch sections. And once again, I just go and cut off a whole bunch at a time, maybe 10 or 12 at a time, just to get going. Because it's a lot easier to mass produce these, you know, all the parts at one time than all the other to go. Okay, so I have this with the little pommel, and I've got my little bit of jewelry wire, and I'm going to put it roughly in the middle, and I'm going to loop it around once. Okay. It doesn't have to be too tight, because it'll tighten up here in a second. So it's as close to the middle as I can guess. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give just about almost a ½ an inch. So this is just something you're going to have to, I did have a pair of pliers that was perfect for the length, and I don't know what happened to those, so I'm just going to, I've been guessing. So, and I'm going to bend that over, and I'm going to get this one, and I'm going to do the same distance, and I'm going to bend that one towards me so it kind of makes a little zigzag And you can see it's not real tight on there. Not yet. Okay, so now I'm going to pinch that one here. I'm going to pinch that one flat, and I'm going to pinch that one flat. And it doesn't have to be too pretty, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you see what it's done now? It's one is behind it and one is in front of it, the wire. And I'm just going to grab and do a little twist. I'm just going to twist it until it gets to the point where I'm not going to hurt my fingers, because if you get too much in there, you're going to stick a wire in your finger. So get the flats, and there you go. And I just push that down. Now I take a little, so that's what it looks like, right? Just wound it down. Put a little pinch here, and I'm going to twist that about 4 or 5 times until it looks pretty. Flip it over, do the same thing. Just going to twist it 4 or 5 times until it looks pretty. And I've gotten to where I can eyeball those, but you don't need to really measure it. Okay, so next step is get your glue. And I'm going to squeeze out a little glob because it's globby. And I'm going to put it right here. And I'm just going to sort of twirl a little around. Get a nice glob on there. And I'm going to put... And... Oh, now I'm just going to drop the cup right on that, if I can get it through there. And I'm just going to twist it a little bit to get that glue kind of seated in there pretty good and sticky. And then I'm going to get a piece of cloth or something, or a piece of sponge I've got here, and stick it to where the cup is laying on the glue. That way it doesn't slide off. If I did it like this when they were wet, the cup would just slide off. So stick it point up, let the glue sit in there, let it dry overnight, and you are done. And that's all there is to it.